Hey there, artists and artificcionados. This is Daniel K now with Breakthrough Art, and I am here with Cody Begay. Cody is a Navajo artist who lives in Window Rock, Arizona. We met a few years ago when I was teaching at Telluride Mountain School, and we did a collaborative mural project in 2020 and 2021. And now he's teaching from there at St. Michael's School to Window Rock High School, and also an excellent artist. Welcome, Cody. I'm very glad to be speaking with you today.
Hi, Daniel. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Hello, guys.
Cody, tell me as an artist and as an art instructor, art professor, art teacher, why is making art so important for you, for yourself, and for what you do for others?
Art is a creative way of thinking and feeling and just getting, um, it could be therapeutic too, I think. And that's how I'm approaching it now uh, at my age and just with my experience um, and that's where I'm at right now with art.
Can you tell me more about that therapeutic aspect of what art does?
I think it's just getting your mind off of negativity and whatever's going on throughout the world, um, and just a place where you're doing something and concentrating on one subject and not letting your mind wander, but you're more of what's going on. You're pretty much aware of what's going on right now, right here. So that's how I feel about art.
And you have a very unique perspective as an artist being Navajo and teaching. How does your Navajo culture influence your personal artwork?
Um, It's it in a way it's all about the stories behind the Navajo culture and with animals and landscape, and but I try not to get too cultural. It's just I'm just kind of like just brushing on the surface, I guess you could say, on the cultural aspect, but it does play a role. And um especially the locations of these areas on Navajo Nation, and what animals symbolize, what, and it gets pretty deep within the Navajo roots of as far as the culture aspect. But like I said, I'm just barely brushing the surface of that, and there's a lot to learn in my culture, and I'm still learning a lot. And but yeah, I mean, I grew up here on the Navajo Nation, and um, there's so many stories tied to the landscape and animals and people, where we come from, our language, and where we're at in the universe. So it's a lot to learn, and I think as an artist, it also makes me learn a lot about who I am, more of a self realization and a reflection of where I come from.
Wonderful. You talked about brushing the surface with storytelling. You have this beautiful painting behind you, and growing up on the Navajo Nation, how did you get so inspired to create work that kind of blends with more contemporary type of painting? You have a landscape, yet you have this kind of very narrative story with it. Is that something that you learned yourself, or that you kind of did a blend, like incorporating different traditions in order to create storytelling that ties into like landscape painting, but with narratives of animals?
Um, yeah, it's combining a lot of styles. It could be a little bit of surrealism and as well as it's a little bit more playful too. And I have fun creating these landscapes, but I also have, the like the animal painting here with the horse. Um, it's a little bit more, realistic, and I just like that approach between both, and I just have fun with it, creating these artwork, and yeah, and it could be, like combining two different worlds, I guess you could say. And with my culture, that's how we you know we adapted in history, with colonialism and today, and how we have diversity, and um, it pretty much symbolizes that. My art symbolizes that. Um, but like I said, I usually have fun with these types of paintings, with a little surrealism in the landscape and more of a realistic animal. And just recently, I've been, enlarging these animals and playing with the perspective, and, the foreshortening, and also just making the subject matter a little bit more massive, but not overtaking the landscape.
It's a beautiful painting that I'm seeing behind you. Can you tell us more about this painting in particular? The horse with the buttes, and there's so much going on. I love that, like you were saying, this blending of realism and surrealism and storytelling. I'd love to hear more about this painting in particular.
So with this painting behind me, as you guys can see, this is a spider rock here in Canyon de Chelly in northern northeast Arizona, and this is a site that Navajos have a lot of stories, and it could be cultural, and it could be also with the colonialism. For the culture part, Spider Woman lived here, and Spider Woman is part of the story in the Navajo culture, and how she has ties to weaving, Navajo weaving, and to me that I kind of go more on that um, type of storytelling, with how it influenced me. And so for me, my I have grandparents and family who weave with wool on more of a textile, and so that's what this represents, as far as the spider rock with Spider Woman, and um, and then with the horse, the story behind that is more a little bit more personal, with my background in growing up more on a ranch, and my family raising horses. And again, I kind of have these. I'm just, I guess, I'm in a way, I'm just, it's a self reflection of who I am, and how I'm bridging, two different things, and balancing maybe two different types of cultures, and it could be Western, and it can be Navajo culture, and it's just, I guess, in a way, living between both worlds and having that advantage, and there's so much that goes beyond the story behind a horse, and the story of Spider Woman. Um,
And the horse is so massive in scale that it has, you know, it's larger than the buttes themselves. It could be what, 100, 200 feet tall. That massiveness, is that part of that blending of cultures, of the weaving, the Spider Woman, your personal history? How does, like, can you tell more about, I guess, the importance of the beauty of of that horse in a landscape of Canyon de Chelly that has such history for your culture and your people?
Oh yeah. So you know, this one I believe I titled it Mustang, um and horses for Navajos, it's a powerful animal that you know that pretty much helps us today, and it could be more in a therapeutic way too. Um, Growing up with an animal and taking care of an animal as a responsibility, and in my culture, well, in history, the Spaniards introduced the horse to the Navajos, but in our culture, it says that we always had horses even before then, and that could be just reconnecting with our past, and today we rely on animals to do some farming, ranching, and overall, I think, like I said, just having responsibility and being more um, being it more being therapeutic for us Navajo people.
It's a beautifully rendered painting. Your composition, the shadows, the massive size of the horse with Spider Rock and the river in the foreground. It's extremely well done. When you look at your own personal history growing up in the Navajo Nation, your influence from your parents, your grandparents, and the beautiful textile art, which is so prevalent. How do you, when you incorporate that into your teaching, for example, as you're teaching youth and looking at traditional work and contemporary work, how does that influence what you offer your students?
Um, I um, kind of, I guess, explain diversity because the Navajo Nation comprises of mostly Navajos in workforce, employment, and as far as demographics, and even the school system, it's majority of them are Navajo, and so a lot of them are going to college, are going to apply to jobs elsewhere. So I, just try to implement some diversity and how to adapt to other cultures. And so um, I kind of have that approach in my classroom, and but also, keeping your tradition too, and balancing both, not being ethnocentric, or being open-minded to other cultures. That's pretty much all I want my students to have in mind, when they go off to college or workforce or training.
That open-mindedness, how do you see, and you can come back on stage too as well, um, Cody, how do you see this ability to teach open-mindedness, how to creating your art with this beautiful blend, cultural blend of your own personal culture with more other contemporary modalities? How do you see that helping to, I guess, bridge these gaps, socially, politically, environmentally, and culturally, that are within our country and our world, so that art itself can be that therapeutic tool, that ability to get in the zone? When we look at this next generation as an educator and as a painter, how do you foresee art being that tool, that piece of possibility that people could tap into?
um, I think just same thing, keeping an open mind to other people, other cultures in the surrounding areas, and not I guess being like judging
Mm-hmm.
type of art, like, oh, I see a pottery painting that must be, Native American or this and that, as far as, socially, just, I think just to see each other as people is my goal, not to categorize, Native American, and, other ethnicities, but just to
Mhm.
be accepted as an artist. And that's what I try to bring into my art as a contemporary artist. And and that's a very good question. Um, as far as in a diverse group of people.
As a contemporary artist, where do you see yourself going next? Like, what are some other big ideas that you have going into this year or years to come that you want to do as an artist with your work personally?
I want to enter some shows just in the local area in the region. And I think my art is more appealing to the Southwest region here on the Navajo Nation. Um, and I don't really have any other specific places. The only places I've showed at was at the Santa Fe Indian Market last year in August. And but I'll continue to look around, maybe there in Colorado, the Rango area, and probably in Phoenix, Scottsdale area. So yeah, just trying different venues, different markets in the region.
Do you have more pieces like this that are a surreal process of kind of this animal folklore mixed with very specific sacred sites and then
Yeah,
your
I
personal
do.
story?
I have some other paintings that are very similar to this one, and some are with some figures, human figures, and I'm working on one right now with the Grand Canyon, and that one I want to put an eagle in there. Oh, hold on, please. Sorry.
All right. He's got some beautiful artwork. It's really impressive to see this landscape with a surreal perspective, this Mustang in a sacred site of Spider Rock. Having spent time myself in different areas in the Southwest and Utah and Arizona, it's just wonderful to see you, Cody, kind of tying together your cultural history with your artwork, with the paintings, and it must be such a wonderful influence for you. Do you share this work with some of your students as well?
Yeah, I um try to, you know, have them think about who they are as well. More of a self realization is what I come back to, and um, and that's pretty much the base. I think the base of an artist or anyone um, with any type of skill would go back to the basic and but make it their own as well.
Mm-hmm. That idea of the self-reflection, art being therapeutic, I always like to consider that every piece of art we make is like doing a self-portrait. What it's coming out of us, it's coming through us, and then we end up kind of developing something that's really beautiful or something that's not. But we have this process of creation, and that's it seems like you're tapping into that storytelling of the process as well in your own artwork, which is a really just a big narrative. It's a lot for in this world right now for people to see that narrative of creation and storytelling to enable something that the viewer in themselves can actually have a connection with the artwork and then be touched themselves to their own personal story.
Hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I have fun creating these paintings, and I, the aesthetic part is something that I just put together. I don't really plan it out. I try to just, get the work on there, and I get ideas, as I'm going along, and um, So that's usually how my process works. But it's, everything. It'll Some ideas will change on the process, and I think that's just the creative process, and having I guess my culture and my background, my experience, it just, you know, gets onto the canvas and the best way I can, and the way I think it, should be for me, for my, for my like.
Mm-hmm. Well, excellent, excellent. Cody, do you have anything else you'd like to share about your process, about your knowledge as an artist, about your um, the subject matter, your students, your school, your culture, anything that you'd want to share further that we haven't talked about? Because it's been a great pleasure to speak with you and hear about what you're doing. And please do say anything else that comes up for you right now.
I just want everyone to be creative, whether it's painting, sculptures, writing, um, anything creative, just creating something, and it doesn't have to be for sale, doesn't have to be for work. Just create something for a few minutes to an hour, and you'll probably feel a lot of relief afterwards. And like for me, I try not to shoot for perfection. Like I said, I just get the subject matter on there, and however it turns out, that's the way it is, and I'm okay with that, and just accept, you know, what the outcome is. And so, yeah, just be creative.
And that's such a nice thing. And that's what I love too, that there's so many ways to be creative. Like you could be making a puzzle can be creative. And, weaving is extremely creative. The Navajo rugs that I've seen have been always exceptional. And when I've traveled to other cultures too, like in Guatemala, the weaving there is just, mesmerizing as well. There's just so many ways to touch into that creativity. And I fully agree with you. A few minutes, an hour, it allows that relief. It allows that therapeutic process to be able to let go, to not be on a screen, not be on our phone, looking at other stuff, but to be actually in the process of making something through our hands and our eyes, using our fingers. It could be sculptural, it could be two-dimensional. So that's wonderful, a wonderful concept, and something that I think more of us do, the more relaxed, more peaceful we'll all be, tapping into that creative aspect of ourselves. Well, I do look forward to visiting you on one of my next road trips across to California, and hoping to be able to meet up with you again and to see some of your artwork in person. It's been a few years, and I really do appreciate, Cody, you coming on here and illuminating us with your creative process, your beautiful artwork, your storytelling. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Daniel. And been great talking to you and chatting with you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you all for watching. We'll have more interviews to come, and we're very, very pleased, and thank you so much for Cody Begay to take time out of your day to share your creative art. All right, y'all, keep making work. Get out there and be creative. Cheers.